So I know that inflation is on a lot of people's minds right now. We're going to the store, the grocery store, the gas station, all of these places. Things are costing more than they did before, and our paychecks are not rising to meet the increase in the cost of the goods and services that we're used to being able to buy. And so what do we do about this? Well, it's just really important to recognize that with regards to our money, there are a lot of things that are outside of our control, and that's always going to be the case. What's going on in the market is going to affect the balances on our investment accounts. Geopolitically, they're just things that are happening that are totally out of our control and that are going to affect our bottom line. So it's really important that we recognize ahead of time that this is part of life and that not to be thrown off kilter when that happens. But let's just say you're at the grocery store and you've got so much money that you're expecting to be able to spend on groceries for that week. And you get there and you're like, something that you're used to buying has always costed this much in the past, and now it's costing more than that. It's not like you got a pay raise last week to deal with that increased cost of those items. And so you might feel your body have a stress response. You might feel angry. You might feel kind of shut down and hopeless, and like you just want to curl up into a ball and disappear. You might want to scream or yell or stomp your feet. And these stress responses are, what's happening there is your body is actually creating a story, probably around the message of feeling a loss of control, lack of agency over your circumstances, and the stress response is coming online in response to that narrative. So what's really important is that as we're trying to deal with any kind of a problem, that we come to dealing with that problem from a place of, as Richard Schwartz would say it, in self-energy, coming to it from a place of where you're actually thinking, you have your prefrontal cortex online, you're able to come up with creative solutions, you're not in the scarcity or the shame response as you're thinking about these things, because the fact of the matter is that the only way to change your bottom line is to either decrease the amount of money that you spend or increase the amount of money that flows into your economic system in your home. That is the only two things you can do. So you can either, it doesn't always have to be higher income. Maybe you have a relative and you can ask them for money. I teach very much that the only way to get money is not always to earn it. That's not the only legitimate way to get money. You can, you could look to borrowing. You could look to asking for a gift from maybe a family member who has some financial resources to help get you through it. But most of the time, people are going to say, well, I need to go out and make more money. So you either make more money, or you bring more money into the system, or you decrease your expenses. Those are really your only options. So to be able to access creative solutions, you need to bring the thinking part of your brain online and decrease that stress response. So even if it means going back out to your car and doing something to calm yourself. And you hear it all the time, the deep breathing. The reason that that's said a lot is because it works. Deep breathing, journaling, you could just move your body some way, like dancing can help, push-ups, jumping jacks. That stress response wants to be completed. So the stress response is coming up like this, and it kind of peaks at some kind of an emotional level, and then it drops back down. And the way that it drops back down is through some kind of an action. So you need to take some kind of an action, come out of the stress response, and then come to your creative solution-making process with your brain online. And that's really the only thing you can do, and recognizing that some of these things are out of our control. Inflation right now sits squarely in the societal level of the 7-layer framework. And yeah, you could, one of the things you could do to manage stress is maybe to write to your congressperson and express that, hey, you're having a really hard time stretching your income to cover your expenses. And that could be one way that you fulfill that arc. But just knowing that you have to fully let that come all the way down and then start making decisions with all of your resources so that you can actually attack this problem creatively. That's the most important thing to do.